Hey, Composing Gloves here. This is the 17th video in the Massive from the Ground Up tutorial series, and today we will be covering the routing tab. And this is quite the mission right here, understanding this fellow. And we'll also be covering the bypass slider as well. So first we're going to talk about how signal gets mapped through Massive. So you should already be familiar with the basics of routing. Right now we have our oscillator 1, it's the only one on, and the amp's all the way on. So there's a signal coming out. It's being sent parallel to filter 1 and filter 2. And we've set it to be parallel on our option from serial to parallel here. We've set our mix to the middle. So filter 1 and filter 2 come out. And we've turned filter 2 on. So now it is coming out all the way to the master out here. And so on our here routing tab, which if you don't know how to get to it, there's a bunch of tabs. Just click on routing. This is what's happening. We have oscillator 1. There's a B, which we will talk about in a second. Wherever you see an X is a place where the signal can be split. So if you send out oscillator 1 in parallel, it's being split right here, and it's being sent down to filter 2, and it's being sent out to filter 1. You can, at this point, affect it with insert effects, which we've talked about. And it comes out, goes through the filters, but you notice there's a split right here. So if you send it to filter 2 and turn the feedback on, what's happening is it comes out here, goes through filter 1 in parallel, if it's in parallel, and it gets to the feedback and it goes through our feedback loop. It also gets split right here because you're routing it in parallel, comes down, goes through the insert effects, doesn't reach filter 2. In fact, it gets split and goes up to our feedback and then gets sent through our feedback loop. So that's a really important note about this particular feedback position. That's what's going on right there. And there's one after filter 2 if you want it to be just the input out of filter 2. And that's how these insert effects come into play. So that's so we have it out here, and you can set up your feedback loops, and it comes back and it's actually combined right here. And from this point, it's sent to filter 1 or insert 1 or insert 2 if you happen to put that there. And you only have one insert 1, and you can't set an insert 1 where there's already an insert 2. I don't know why, but you just can't. But you can have insert 2 and then insert 1 over here and insert 2, insert 1 over there. But you just can't have them on the same one. So anyways, it gets consolidated, it comes out. You have another feedback loop option, goes through the amp pan. And real quick note about this. This is where your envelope is applied. But if you think about it, if you set a really long attack time, that happens before the signal even comes out of your oscillator. So this is a little misleading, placing it right here. If you don't understand what I just said, don't worry about it. But they put it right here. And you have another feedback option. And then it comes down, it goes to your FX, which we haven't talked about yet, but we will. And you have your different effects, and then boom, you can come out your master and you can hear it. Oh, you hear your EQ too, which you turn on right here. And then it comes out your master, and then you can hear your sound. But you see this yellow thing right here. That's the bypass. And the bypass sort of works like a feedback loop kind of, but it's not quite the same. You'll notice that the bypass has a slider, which is wet dry or on off, all the way on, all the way off. And then you have bypass mod, which is you can put effects or LFOs here, and you can even you have to sidechain it. Interesting note, these two are only sidechain, which means that whatever's here dictates what this one is doing with its own controlling signal. Which I did cover on the modulation boxes area. So you have this 4 right here, which is the same envelope that's used by our amp knob. Now you might be wondering, why is the 4 here, and what happens if I take it away? Well, the same thing happens when you take away the 4 on the amp, if you've already watched that one, which you should have. So you select something you want to bypass. So you say, I want to bypass oscillator 3, okay? So we'll turn oscillator 3 on, and the amp's on, and it's being parallel routed. But you would think, does bypass just steal the signal? Like all the signal follows this line? No. Actually, the signal gets still sent through the system, but part of the signal, the original signal, I'm not sure why you'd want to do this either. Maybe you're making a saw pad, or I guess not really, just any kind of a pad. I could see this being used for some particular kind of sound design, and you want just an extra tone in your sound. You could split it right here, and you can send part of that raw signal out, and you can choose to send it to the FX1, and then we'll finish the chain, or FX2, or straight to the EQ and just skip both effects and out the master. It's totally up to you. And so if we, let's change this back. Okay. So we have our signal coming out. We're going to change this down a little bit so you can hear it. Okay, so it's coming out and being sent to the FX1. We'll put a reverb on it so you can hear it. So both signals are being affected by this reverb. And now we're going to turn our bypass up. So now it's being bypassed, so it's skipping all of this stuff and going straight here. Now if we turn, let's put a low pass on, and you'll hear that we'll turn oscillator 1 off, some of the signal is still being sent to filter 1. You can hear it be affected by the filter. But our raw signal right now is rather strong, so it's being overheard. But if we skip straight to FX2, it'll skip this reverb and go to the FX with nothing on it. And it's still being affected by our filter 1. So if we turn, so just so you know, it does still go through here. I don't know why I keep emphasizing that. Just feel like you need to know that. And you can send it straight to the EQ. Whether or not the EQ is on does not matter. It still comes out the master. And the signal right now, I guess this is why they put this here. For whatever reason, it doesn't obey, the bypassed signal does not obey our envelope right here. So you have to put another envelope on it. And now it's behaving as we've set. You can also put LFOs and stuff here. You get some interesting things going on. And so what happens is, if you take this away, I'm going to turn the volume down. You'll see we have signal. We have all that signal that's been building up. And I've been hitting a lot of notes in the same chord. I think it's somewhere in the G range. And so you'll notice that there's no way to turn it off now. So I have to click the stop, just shut that sound down knob up there. So you have to put an envelope there to make it work. You could put an LFO there, but you'd have no way to turn it off. And the amp knob would just take away the modulation. It would not take away the signal. And so that's why you need an envelope right there. So maybe I just don't understand how envelopes are applied, because I don't see how you can have a long attack from an oscillator way over here. You'd think when you push the key, it would just turn on like that. But if you had a long attack and the envelope saying increase in volume slowly, wouldn't this turn all the way on, and then the envelope, if the envelope's applied all the way over here, then wouldn't it get soft and then turn back on? So if you understand what I'm saying now, hey, please enlighten me in the comments. Like, I don't know. I just don't know. I don't know how this works. There's got to be some sort of pre-envelope thing going on here, or something in the algorithm. But at length, this is the routing tab, and that's how it works. So have fun routing. You now can set up some pretty complicated feedback loops and mess with your inserts, filters, oscillators. And then there's resonance, which, as you remember, was accomplished using a feedback loop. Man, could you imagine if they gave you like extra options to mess with that? Like another little portion on the routing tab to put things? That'd be pretty crazy, bro. And yeah, if you enjoy these tutorials, subscribe. Check out my music on composergloves.com and my Facebook page, of course. Get this video into the hands of someone who is trying to learn about Massive, and have a blessed day.